This is Raise the Woof P2. In this video, I'll be sharing the history of H3 and its growth. Not really exciting, but definitely informative if you're interested in how I started the rescue. So, we made it another year, guys. I'm telling you now that I would not have seen today had it not been for last year's Raise the Woof and Giving Tuesdays campaigns. I was so close to closing the doors. It had me in tears and anxiety-filled frustration every single day. But then Giving Tuesday happened, and it put us back on the map. However, that too would have quickly faded had it not been for our angel stepping in earlier this year of 2022. But first, I want to talk about that. But first, let's go back to the beginning. At the end of 2017, I had enough of getting my small business ass kicked all up and down San Francisco Bay Area in California. Come here, guys. And I wanted to change, this kind of change. In the meantime, I had 2 Huskies of my own and was learning a lot about rescue and spending a lot of time at my local dog park. Definitely feeling this tug, to do something about it, but I just didn't know to what extent. So anyway, I started writing a business plan for a dog park cafe. When I first started drawing my plan and dreaming about what I wanted to do, I knew that I wanted to do the dog park cafe, but I also felt the need to build a rescue. So I decided that I needed to do both. In 2018, I sold everything I had except one of my race cars. I took out another loan and bought a 7-acre piece of property here in Eufaula, Oklahoma. So why Eufaula? I've been asked by the locals many times. Well, when I started looking for the perfect property, I had no real thoughts on where or how I would make it happen, or where I would even end up. My family was in Illinois, but I had zero desire to set up there. I also didn't want extreme hot or cold like, Florida or any states up north. I did search in California, for a few months, but 1 acre undeveloped piece of property, it's over $1 million. Anyway, I knew that I wanted to get out of California because of the cost and taxes, and California makes it very hard to small business. I tell you what it does do, though, is prepare you. I think anyone who wants to start a small business should go to California and get their small business ass kicked and be ready for anything. Anyway, Rob mentions Oklahoma one day, and I'm like, I'm not sure, but I'll see what's out there. So then it was like smacked in the face. It was the same smack I felt when I saw a picture of my first husband. Like a flashback or a sign. Like a deep tug to do something big. This was it, what I was seeing. This was the property I wanted. It had almost everything. More than 5 acres, outside of city limits, everything I wanted. A place I was allowed to live and run my business. Highway frontage. A small touristy town. Noise. That way I could leave all my options open, and bonus, we're surrounded by a lake with over 600 miles of shoreline. Half a mile from the town's tourist attractions, the county's fairgrounds, right across the street or the highway, and but anything else, I knew deep in my heart that it was where I was meant to be. Man, 7 acres. I could do a lot with 7 acres. So the problem was all I had was a few race cars, a failed California business, 2 human kids, 2 huskies, 2 cats, and no money. Stop it! Now I gotta cut that out. Make me work harder. So I stared at that Craigslist ad for a few weeks. I couldn't stop thinking about it, like, how the heck was I gonna make this happen? And then one day I said to myself, no one is going to make this happen but you. So I called the number on the ad, and the next 30 minutes was pretty surreal. I felt very connected to the person who answered. Her name was Kelly. is Kelly. I proceeded to have the most amazing chat with Kelly about the property and about my dreams and about how I wanted to turn her property into a community center, a dog park cafe, and other small businesses that I could build to, help support the rescue. So now it's really bad. Like, I really need this property, but how am I going to get a mortgage for that much? Couldn't. Sass! Back up! It took me about a year, but I figured it out. And Kelly really is key to making that happen. She was my first angel for these Huskies. She just didn't know how big of an impact she was about to make with her kindness. Her kindness in helping me fulfill my dreams without knowing me. I can imagine how much anxiety was happening, during the sale and the closing, and even now, excuse me, I'm being kissed, because she's still still a very big part of H3 life and its future. Blue! She put the kind of trust in me, that doesn't happen to anyone. So that was her journey in the mission of saving Husky lives, and the first angel to step up for Husky Halfway House, which, by the way, didn't even have a name yet. So in 2019, it was just me and my 2 boys, my 2 Huskies, my 7 acres of property perfection, 6.5 which were underdeveloped, and the other 1.5 holding my home, garage, and a couple of small buildings that I turned into a gym and a design shop, and a bunch of paperwork and waiting for licensing before I could even start rescuing. Oh, and that big dream that I didn't know yet how I was going to make happen. Daily, I stood at the base of that 1.5 acres and I looked out over the property, and that's where my dream started to take shape. I realized I needed to make money to be able to build a place where I could house the dogs. I also needed experience, so I visited my local shelter and I signed up to foster and volunteer. I also needed the 501c3 so I could run a nonprofit and offer tax deductions for helping me financially care for the rescue. And, well, I needed to start rescuing because I knew that I could best learn through experience. They're gonna howl. By the time 2019 was over, I was ready to go full force. I had all of my licensing to kennel the dogs, the 501c3, as well as all of my business documents filed. As I started rescuing, I also started branding the H3 name and building a social media presence, because that was the key to financial success. Raising awareness to our brand and reaching the masses. The internet's great for that. So it allowed me to fundraise through social media. Huge, by the way. I cannot tell you how important marketing and social media is to success. Everybody's jumping on me. In 2020, I was ready. I was building a name for myself, and now it was time to raise some money. First, let's hear a howl and a fight. My business mind told me that I was going to need to spend some money to make some money. So I sold one of the rare cars that I had, and I gave half of the sale to the rescue, and that was $50,000. With that money, I rescued dogs, and I bought fencing and rocks for mud and mess containment, and I put a deposit down on a kennel building, which took up the bulk of the money, but it was a great start. Anyway, the more Huskies I acquired, the more I could see how the property was going to grow based on their needs and not my dreams. I could also see how much money things were going to actually cost and how quickly $50,000 was going to go. Now it was time to do something big. Now keep in mind, as a business, whatever I do, I have to keep any for-profit type or anything personal that I might build for myself separate from the charity. So as I'm building, it's a lot of decision making on who's going to do and pay for what. COVID was hitting the country big time at this point, and I was getting really scared. So I had a conversation with a mentor that led to me taking out a personal loan to get through COVID, and also to be able to build something that I could make sustainable income from to help support the rescue. That loan was huge. Big loan. Big enough to start developing the property into something bigger. But before I could do anything, I needed a way to properly house 100 dogs. The kennel building that I bought houses 4. So I hired a local contractor to build me 6 dog houses, cabin-sized dog houses, kind of like this. That contractor stole our money and left us with a pile of materials that deteriorated and cost us more money to get rid of. I also went through a period of a huge financial loss, hiring contractors and employees that cost me more money than I made. So this is what I got for $22,000. My brother-in-law said it wasn't quite up to code, so it'd probably have to come down, but like there's so much wrong with it that I get laughed at a lot. This is also what he built. This is what stopped him from finishing the job, because I asked him why, there were so many gaps in the building, and also why the window was sideways, and why this floor was damaged to begin with. So he was here for about 2 weeks. He dropped down enough materials to build that, and then he packed up his truck and walked away. At that time, I also then made an investment for 6 more cabin-sized houses, because that's what I needed to do, but they were too nice to turn into dog houses. So now I needed to make a decision on what I was going to do with them. And right now, the plan is volunteer tourism, and families that want to come in from out of state to adopt, they would be able to stay in their cabins and bring their Huskies and their packs so that they can choose a new one to adopt. I'm surrounded by a lake, so RV and cabin rentals just kind of might be the key to survival here. I just don't know yet. Anyway, August or so of 2021, I was done. I was so worried about the winter. The dogs are fine, but I wanted better. I had to crate them all every night into these buildings, particularly during the bad weather, and it was killing me. Things were deteriorating quick, and I was going through, the frustration of a failed relationship with animal control here in my town. So I was almost sure I wasn't going to make it through another year. So I cried about it on social media, of course, and I pulled out one final stop, giving it one more chance. So I put together a fundraising campaign called Raise the Woof. I needed plumbing installed so I could bring in volunteers and provide bathrooms for those cabins. I needed the electric connected in all of the buildings. Hey, pretty girl. And I needed a place for the dogs to live to set up. That's that pretty girl. What we had was not working. A mentor of mine offered to give us $10,000. Why so? If I could raise another 10 on Giving Tuesday. Well, I'm positive she would have given me the money had I not raised the 10 grand. But it was just, really unbelievable that everybody was standing up for this. I really, really thought that I would be closing my doors, and this donation was going to at least shine some light and give me a chance of succeeding, even if it was just for one more year. I mean, I could save a few hundred more Huskies in a year. So last Giving Tuesday, we raised $40,000, and with that, we cleaned up our mess. I was able to get the plumbing completed, a 10,000 gallon aerobic system that would be big enough as the property grows, as well as another utility pole so electricity could reach to the new buildings. I also paid off all the debt so that we could start the new year off fresh. And, man, that money went fast. Anyway, so fast forward to March or so of 2022 and of this year. And, things are going well, but I knew that if things didn't change, that this new change would only last about a year because, well, yeah, I have an aerobic system, but I need a toilet or two to put on top of it. I mean, great, I have electricity, but now I need someone to come in and install it throughout the property, which is going to cost at least 25 grand. So then that thing that only happens, in your fantasies and on movies happened. The very reason we are standing here today, sitting here today, is because angels came to visit my property after they heard about me through a friend. Business angels with a calling to help animals. They couldn't believe the amount of mess that I was making and offered to help get things under control before it was too late, which was steadily happening. An original offer of a donation was made to help me establish a bathroom facility so I could get volunteers to help me. Until now, I have not been able to offer a bathroom, and people cannot go through the yards to get to the main house, so it was a very big problem. The bigger problem, of course, was my inability to say no to the Huskies in need. A few days after my original dream come reality and still not believing the truth, especially after they tell me they will be building us not only a his and her public restroom facility, but also a dog kennel built the way I wanted it, which included truss core walls. I literally and truly didn't believe it was gonna happen until it actually happened, and I couldn't decide if all the constant communication was a good sign or someone was setting me up for a poor joke. But it did happen, and well, I'm just really proud to have been able to give them this. And you know, it still isn't absorbed. Like, this really happened, and now we've crossed the point of no return. I couldn't quit if I wanted to. So what's next? Well, I have a 10-year plan, and am in the first half of it. I've got very little time to reach my goal, almost at 5 years. So, you know, that I don't have to shift things in the plan. In these first 5 years, I wanted to have a sustainable income sources for my rescue and a place where I could house them, because I want to study their behavior before finding them homes. Makes sense. I think it's crucial to finding the right homes. And that's my favorite part too, was studying their pack behavior. It's very unique. I love it. So right now my goal is to finish on what I have started, which will create, let me get some husky action in here, which will create sustainable income sources the moment the construction is done. So here's where you can help. On this year's Giving Tuesday, I'm asking for donations to help me do just that. So I've got a few things that we need to do. Priority one is our drainage system and concrete around the building and around this drainage. Currently the water is drained into the fields and we can't sustain it any longer. We have to have a drainage system or I won't be able to house this many Huskies and would likely have to downsize until I can figure it out. Priority two is more electrical work, because I want to move 2 cabins that I have next to the dorm building and set up a spay and neuter clinic. Priority 3 is going to be flooring. The new building has concrete and we need to seal it. It stinks and it's super hard to keep clean, and you know, I'm just afraid it's going to deteriorate quick. So we need to get somebody to seal it. So that's 3. Priority 4 would be more concrete. I need sidewalks going to the public bathrooms, coming into the buildings, and leading up to the cabins and to the adoption center and to, you know, the fence lines so people can see, for everyone's safety. And this would also allow me to open to the public for daily tours and adoption events. Right now I'm just too afraid that somebody's going to step in a hole and break their ankle. So that's priority 4. Number 5 would be vet debt. You know, our credit cards are full of vet debt, and I would love to start the year off fresh. Priority 6 would be more fencing. I want to make the center yard where we're going to put the drainage system and the concrete bigger, and I want it to surround the building. That way if they get through the door, you know, they have to go through a fence too. By the way, if your company is interested in helping us provide any of these services, I've got highway frontage across from the town's fairgrounds. I'd be happy to show off who helped these Huskies by putting a sign up there, you know, anything you want. So, you know, I'd really just like to take a moment to thank everybody. Thank all of you guys who donated and helped in every way, from just being here to believing in me and pushing me through all the hard times. I want to thank my mentors who all want to remain anonymous. It's you guys. It's your journey too. You are the hero in this story for them. All of you are. All of you. And I just want you to know that you're appreciated. So thank you guys. All right, guys. So I hope I didn't bore you with my story, and I'm really glad you made it this far. Thank you so much. And don't forget that tomorrow is Giving Tuesday, the biggest day of the year for charities to raise necessary funds for their missions. Please, 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 please consider making a tax-deductible donation to the Husky Halfway House Foundation this year for Giving Tuesday. And we're a 501c3 charity rescue, and I promise you that every dime goes to these dogs. Every dime. Even mine. Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow, Giving Tuesday.